Very excited to chat here with Franny. Franny, Rob Cesternino from RHAP has a podcast. Nice to get the chance to talk with you.
Yeah. Thank you for introducing yourself. You're so under the radar. I don't really know what was it?
Yeah, Franny, wow, you really did go full tilt boogie these last couple of weeks. Congratulations on such a strong run here.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's less of a strong run when they vote you out, but I'm still proud of it.
Yeah, it was a really great job. I really would love to know a little bit about this episode that we saw last night with the reward challenge being such a big factor. How did you feel like winning that reward challenge impacted your game?
Yeah, so the reward challenge was interesting. I mean, I probably should not have won it. You never want to be in that position, right? Of like winning it, choosing people, making people feel upset. But frankly, like I felt good about the people that I chose. Like I chose Carolyn because I was trying to build something with her, right? We've got this relationship, we like each other, but I want to start working with her more concretely, strategically. I didn't feel like I had much going with Lauren, and I wanted the opportunity to talk to her in a safe space and start building a relationship. And then I'm trying to maintain what, I've had since Soka with Heidi. So I felt good about my three, but yeah, I mean, the people that I left behind just had so much time to say all sorts of things about me. And I think it was very hard to come back and overcome that, genuinely.
There's so many different parts of this that I want to talk about with you because I feel like so much of the discourse around you has been, why is Franny winning these challenges? And so that I would love to just, talk that through with you because that I do feel like that on the one hand, yeah, I guess it does make some sense to not win so much, but also, you're there to win, right?
Yeah. Well, first of all, like going into Survivor, I thought about, what sorts of threat management might I have to do? I was like, people will probably think I'm smart and strategic, whatever. Like, how can I manage that? I never thought I would have to manage being a challenge beast. It's like, excuse me? So I just didn't know what to do with myself. And frankly, like, I love these challenges, right? Like something awakens in me as soon as Jeff says go, and I could not help myself. Like I loved it. I loved winning, and part of it for me was like, proving to myself that I can do it. So could I have galaxy brained everything and like not win immunities? Sure. But I think also, after the first one, it was very, very hard to get that perception off of me that I was going to win everything. I mean, people would talk about it constantly. We would leave for the challenge and people would be like, well, I bet, we don't even need to go because Franny's going to come back with the necklace. And I was like, shh, don't say that. Yeah, it was hard, but I'm proud of it, honestly.
Do you feel like that you could have made different selections at the reward challenge that would have changed the outcome of this vote?
Honestly, no, I feel really good about it because first of all, in terms of like coming back to camp, I think that I made like a very neutral choice, right? I can come back and say, I picked the moms. Like I just wanted the moms to have their letters.
Yeah.
And who's going to be too mad at me for that, right? Everybody loves moms. But I also really felt like that, group of 4 women and then bringing in Jamie once we got back to camp could come together to vote out Danny, right? Danny's like making a name for himself. He's played his idol correctly. He's clearly looking for more. And I felt confident that that was a plan that people could get on board with. Clearly it didn't work. Maybe there is something I could have done better.
Well, it was going for a little while, and then ultimately it seemed like that you and Carolyn ended up you had that conversation with Heidi and then felt like, okay, now what's Heidi? How did it go from Danny to Heidi?
Yeah, so that was very interesting. So essentially what happens, by the way, the last like couple days there, Carolyn and I are getting really close. So we're like attached at the hip. Heidi comes up to us and says,
you had her belt.
I had
You're
her belt.
Literally sharing a hip.
Yeah. Literally, I was like, that was so funny. As Jeff is reading my name, the only thing I was thinking about is I was like, I cannot walk out with this woman's belt. She has so little. Like, I need to take my pants off. What was your question? I'm so sorry. I kind of lost it there.
Okay. When you were going to vote for Danny, but then it changed to Heidi.
Yes. Okay. So Heidi comes up to us, to myself and Carolyn, and tells us the exact conversation that you saw, right? Danny told her, I'm voting Franny. I don't need you, but hop on board. And when Heidi told us about that, clearly we're not good at lie detection, because that sounded so fake to us. We were like, why would Danny just say that to Heidi? Who does he think he has? So that kind of set off alarm bells for Carolyn and I, where we thought that Heidi was actually working against us. And that conversation that you see between me, Carolyn, Lauren, and Jamie saying, let's vote Heidi now, that was maybe 5-10 minutes before we left for tribal. That was quick. And so I thought, sometimes the last plan is the best plan. Like, this is the last thought that's in everybody's minds. I was confident that, we were all excited and we were like, haha, we got on last minute strategy. But clearly that's not how it worked out.
So the relationship with Danny really changed a lot drastically, where I think in the game it was maybe 4 days ago that he plays an idol for you to save you in the game, to ultimately really leading the charge that you have to go home. How did that relationship deteriorate so fast?
Yeah, so the relationship with Danny is really, really interesting. So going backwards, going into the merge at Soka, myself and Matt were a pair. Danny and Heidi are a pair. And we really wanted to go into the merge and separate and not let people onto the fact that we were working together as a four. So the idea was, Matt and I will make relationships, Danny and Heidi make relationships, and then we come together. But as soon as Matt got voted out, like, that all started to dissolve. And I felt like I had a better strategic rapport with some of the other people on the beach than I did with Danny and Heidi. So like, I'm here for myself. I'm trying to form new relationships. It was very funny. We do not see this in the episode, but when Danny comes up to me and says that he's going to play his idol on me, he starts that conversation by saying, you and I have had some problems recently, because he knew that I was trying to
impressions on point.
Yeah. I've had months to practice my Danny impression. Yeah. I could go all day, but I think that for Danny, the idol play was much more, there are so many situations in this game where, oh, should I play my idol? I don't know. He knew where the votes were going, and he saw an opportunity to get that beautiful idol moment. I think it was more about that and taking control and less about me, because literally, Rob, we never even really got back on the same page after that. We got back to camp and I was like, thank you. And then we didn't talk again. It was a very weird relationship with Danny, but I think also, he wants to win challenges, right? He's sees me as his biggest obstacle in that, I guess.
All right. Well, sticking with Danny, last week we saw you talk to Danny about, hey, maybe we should put some votes on the Tika people. And he seemed to be very offended by that idea. First off, what happened that made you think that? And two, did suggesting that impact you in any way?
Yeah. So very clear reason for me why I thought that. So up until the point where Brandon goes home, the Tika 3 and especially Carolyn and Jam Jam are really playing we don't know what's going on. Nobody tells us anything, blah, 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 blah. And I think that's kind of, the perception that everybody had. But then we get back to camp after Brandon is voted out, and I find out that they knew that Danny was going to play his idol. And when I found out that piece of information, I was like, oh, hang on. These people have the most information in the game. They knew every plan that was happening.
Yeah.
So I saw that as a huge threat. I was like, I'd rather, break this open and work with the people who don't know what's going on as much, right? That's the kind of person I want to work with, because then I can be the one who knows what's going on. Unfortunately, other people did not see what I saw, right? But after that, nobody, I talked with RHAP, I talked with Danny and Heidi. I was really trying to mobilize something against Carolyn and Jam Jam. But when people didn't get on board, next day, I was like, okay, well, forget about that. You guys stink. I'm going to go try to work with them. So I literally went to Carolyn and Jam Jam and I was like, can I be part of the Tika 3? Can I be an honorary member? Yeah, I would have loved if that had worked out for me.
Jamie's idol. Did you buy the story that she told?
That was so silly. None of us bought it for a single moment, which is so funny. It's oh my goodness. But I had good reason to believe that Jamie was a very good liar, because when she showed up at Soka, she completely snowed us on what was happening at RHAP. She said that Maddie's vote was unanimous. She said the first tribal council was very chill. She mentioned nothing about the shot in the dark, nothing about the birdcage idol. So later, when I find all of that information out, I think back and I'm like, whoa, Jamie knows how to lie. So when she comes up to me with this story, I'm like, can't fool me twice. I know that you're lying. It makes for such a good moment, though. And the fact that the whole thing was fake the whole time, it's perfect.
So your relationship with Heidi, I feel like, took a lot of twists and turns. Were you ever super close with Heidi?
Um, I was close with Heidi, like socially. But I found her a little difficult to work with strategically. It was very funny working with Danny and Heidi because they are opposite ends of the, alliance member spectrum. Heidi gets quite anxious, needs to check in a lot of times, has a very hard time making a decision. Danny gets an idea in his head and that's what he's doing. And anything else is illogical, So I found it like difficult to work with them. And I think with Heidi, I just, because she got so nervous sometimes before votes, I would feel like she wasn't with me or, was lying to me. And I think that made it hard for me to work with her in a really secure way. And you see it even with, all the way back to Claire going home. Heidi like was having a really hard time making a decision with that. And I'm the kind of person, like, I want to lock it in. I want to go to tribal knowing what I'm doing. And I just had a hard time with that tension and anxiety.
Yeah, we all had so much fun watching the relationship with you and Matt on the show. That from your perspective, that how did having the relationship with Matt affect your game?
Oh, it was, lovely for my life, horrible for my game. It was so bad. And literally, you can see it in the way that I talk about Matt. In all my confessionals, I'm like, after this game, we should go on a date, outside of this game. Like, I was fighting it because I could tell that I did not have my game face on when I was talking to Matt, right? Like, spending time with him and forming this relationship with him was taking me out of this, game that I've been waiting to play my whole life. I'm grateful for how everything turned out, but that really shook me up. And when Matt goes home, I was so destabilized. And this is where the shortened game makes a big difference, because I think in a 36-day game, 39-day, 36. Let's do 36 now. How fun would that? Random.
People would take it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would do it. But in a longer game, right? If there had been a rest day after Matt had gotten voted out, I think I would have, regained my footing a little bit more. But literally, my eyes are still puffy from crying for hours the day before, and then we're going to tribal, and I'm like, oh God, yeah.
All right, Franny, I know you got to run. Anything else real quick that you want to just let people know?
Oh gosh, we had so much fun out there. Like, genuinely, we were cracking ourselves up the whole time. At the taco reward, Carolyn got up at 3 in the morning and started eating tacos. And in the dead of night, all of us went and by the moonlight ate tacos in the dark. And I made myself a taco that ended up being just jalapenos. Like, it was horrible. But we just, all of us, like, everyone is so fun. We had the best time, and it's such a good group.
Yeah. Well, Franny, I had the best time. You're such a delight to talk to. I hope that we get the opportunity to do more of these in the future. Not like if you get voted out, but I mean just like in general. But
I hope we have the opportunity for you to get voted out more. That would be
it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, frankly. But
yeah,
anyway,
I'll take it.
Yeah, Franny, all the best to you, and talk to you soon. Okay.
Okay. Thanks,
All right.
Rob.
Take care. Bye.